Welcome back to Mr. Orth's Flipped Classroom for Grammar. Going to look at verbs this chapter, beginning with the principal parts of a verb. There really aren't definitions so much as we're looking at just making sure we have the different labels for parts of a verb in this particular lesson. In this case, there are four parts to the verb. They're the present participle, the past, and the past participle. These are easily confused with the different tenses of a verb because present and past are both different verb tenses as well. Fortunately, the form is the same as the verb tense. The question is, what do we do with that in order to make it that particular form? The present tense is essentially in English is considered the base form of the verb. If you learn other languages that are Latinate, meaning derived from Latin such as French, Spanish, or Italian, they consider the base form of a verb to be the infinitive, which is to plus the present form. Either way, that plainest form of the verb, that's considered the present. The present participle is the ing form. Just not helping verbs, it's not the tense, that's just the form. The ing form or spelling of that verb is the present participle. Typically we think of that as having a form of is, am, are, was, were, or a verb be in front of that to use it in a sentence. The past form of a verb is usually the ed version. However, there are some irregulars where we actually change other letters or spellings of the verbs as we use them. The past participle can be the same as the past, or it can be another spelling altogether, such as the en or en version of the verb. Usually the past participle is coming after a helping verb such as has, have, or had. There are 5 types of irregular verbs. I'm not asking you to know what they are, but present them by number. Simply trying to give you a way to recognize there's a pattern or grouping to each of these types. You might be better off actually writing some examples, or more likely going into your exercises, looking at the information there, and writing down any of those irregular verbs which are unfamiliar to you or surprise you as far as which form is which. There are a few irregulars such as cost and let, where the present, past, and past participle are all the same. They're still necessarily going to have INGs. The irregulars still have an ING form, but the present, past, and past participle is one type where they could all be the same otherwise. Past and past participle might be the same, where bring and brought, whether it's had brought or just brought by itself, that's the same version. There's an unusual set where the vowel changes from I to A to U. The example is usually begin, began, and begun. That also means there, if we have swim and swam are correct, that means swum, technically, even though it might sound strange to you, is the past participle. And so when not say I had swam, it'd be I had swum. More commonly, we add n or en to the past or to the present. So choose, chose, and chosen, we don't say chosen. Whereas group 5 is know, knew, and known. We don't say noon, because obviously as it sounds, it's a different word altogether. Again, don't try to memorize these 5 patterns, but know that there's different ways of doing it. So if you remember that for example, in number 3, if you have that I to A version, that means if we're calling a had, have, or has, then we use the U version. If we're adding N or EN, figure out which one you're adding it to, the present or the past. And sometimes it doesn't change, just like the ED doesn't change past to past participle. Some irregulars don't too. And once in a while, we have to realize that it doesn't change. There's no ED form of it. There's no misspelling form of it. Cost is the verb, whether it's present, past, or the past participle. Cost, had cost. There's no costed. All right. In your practice packet, just go ahead and look for identifying which form is which, or which type, and then use the correct ones if you need to. This is mostly labeling and review, but take your time if you need to. Good hunting.